Welcome to Video 1, Literature Circles 101. Let's get started talking about what literature circles are. Literature circles are when a group of students come together to discuss their reading. However, what is unique about literature circles is that students have a job or a role to complete prior to coming to their literature circle group time. We'll talk more about these jobs in a bit. Another distinguishing factor about literature circles is that they are guided by the students and not the teacher. This is a major component of how literature circles differ from traditional reading groups. All right, so why should we have literature circles as part of our elementary classrooms? First and foremost, they boost student reading engagement. When you tell students that they get to read and have a job to complete and then discuss it with their peers, it is so much more motivating than the usual come back to the reading table and read with the teacher. Another reason we should be doing literature circles in our classroom is that it helps build students' reading independence, as they are responsible for reading a selection each day. It helps hold them accountable for what they are reading too. Another reason that literature circles are so beneficial is that they help boost students' listening and speaking skills. A little side note, when I was learning about daily communication and effective communication in the classroom, I was shocked to find out that 45% of our daily communication is made up of listening skills. This motivated me even more to provide my students with structured time to practice listening and speaking. So, students participating in these structured literature circle groups will have those opportunities to practice listening and responding to their peers. Finally, literature circles show students that reading is fun. I know that after reading our weekly anthology or Basil textbook, students love the break to read a novel or short chapter book of their choice. I get asked this question a lot. Who or what grade are literature circles for? Well, I've successfully launched them in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. I know that teachers use literature circles all the way up through high school. And when I went from 4th grade down to 2nd grade, I was determined to make them work. Now, 3rd grade and up should absolutely be able to handle literature circles. For 2nd grade, I've been able to implement them most years with my entire class. However, there were a couple of years where I was only able to do them with 3 out of 4 of my reading groups, and I actually had to lead that 4th literature circle group because the students were just reading too far below grade level. You might be wondering when or what time of the school year you should introduce literature circles. I think there are a few important things to consider before you start. First, classroom routines have to be securely in place. Students need to know expectations for working together in groups. Also, there needs to be a strong behavior management system in the classroom so students can be encouraged and held accountable for their behaviors during group time. Third, reading levels need to be well established so you can effectively put students into their literature circle groups. So when you consider these 3 things, I say usually begin literature circles in November or December for 4th grade and up, and in January or February for 2nd grade and up. You'll know when the time is right because you'll be confident that your students can handle working in student-led groups and not teacher-led groups. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of starting literature circles soon, but essentially, literature circle time is a time for students to come together and discuss their reading by sharing a completed job sheet. Each student is assigned a specific job prior to their reading, and they either do that job during their independent reading or after their reading. So these job sheets help students stay accountable for what they're looking for in their text, and it also helps keep the group discussion focused and meaningful when they come to group time. So let's jump into the literature circle jobs. I will go through them and then briefly give you the description of each job in the next slide. There are 8 different jobs, okay? So we have the discussion director, the passage predictor, the creative connector, the word wizard, the super summarizer, the artistic artist, the spotlight seeker, and the events evaluator. One key to making literature circles successful in your classroom is having differentiated job sheets. This is so important. This way, no matter the students' abilities, they can all participate in a literature circle. So each one of my job sheets that I've created have differentiated options. So here's an example, the super summarizer. You can see it's the same job, but there are 3 different ways that students can complete this job. Now, I've created job sheets and I will share them with you at the end in my Literature Circles Made Simple resource. So don't panic if you're thinking, wow, this is going to be a lot of stuff to create. I've actually already done the heavy lifting for you. So let's look at the different jobs. This is a screenshot of the job introduction slides that's part of that Literature Circle resource that I just mentioned. And I use these slides when I'm teaching or introducing the Literature Circle jobs to students the first time. So how I'm going to share them with you is actually how I introduce them to students. Showing students an example of the job sheet will also help them better understand the job and will make it feel familiar once you get into actually teaching each job. Okay, so first up, we have the discussion director. This is the group facilitator. They are also the questioner and responsible for coming up with questions from the reading to discuss within their Literature Circle group. Also, the discussion director reports on their job sheet how their group time went. So that's the person that I'm looking to for the group accountability for each session. The next job is the passage predictor. This person will stop during their independent reading time to make and write down predictions. They'll share these predictions with their group and discuss whether or not those predictions have come true at that particular point in the reading. The creative connector is the student that's responsible for making connections to the reading and illustrating their connection. I always have connection posters on display in my classroom so students are reminded of the various types of connections they can make, whether it's text to self, text to world, sometimes even text to media, depending on which kind of connections you use. The word wizard, now this student is on the hunt for new or interesting words during their reading. They define these words and they share them with their group during Literature Circle time. The super summarizer is the student that summarizes the main events, characters, and setting from the assigned reading. This is one of those jobs where it is very important to have differentiated job sheets because some students might be able to write a short list of events as to where other students will be able to write a complete paragraph, 3, 4, 6 sentences summarizing the events. The artistic artist has the fun job of illustrating a particular part of the reading and then either writing a caption or a quote or even just putting the page number, depending on which differentiated job sheet you assign. Now, the next 2 jobs are a little more advanced. We have the spotlight seeker, and this student is responsible for finding and writing down phrases or a paragraph from the text that's worthy of spotlight. It can be interesting, an important event to highlight, something that shows character development. So students are going to choose this text, write it down, and then illustrate that part of the text. Finally, the last job is the events evaluator. This student chooses events from the reading to evaluate or give their opinion of. They'll come to group and they'll discuss that and share their opinions. So after seeing all these jobs, you might be wondering which ones would work well for your grade level. Now, in my experience, the first 6 jobs that I introduced you to work well with 2nd grade and 3rd grade. I mean, you can use them in 4th and 5th grade as well, but 2nd and 3rd grade, definitely those 6 jobs are appropriate. All 8 jobs can work well in 4th grade and up. Now, of course, this is just my general recommendation, and even year to year, it has varied in my own classroom, so you can always differentiate based on what your students need and what they're capable of. All right, well, that takes us through the first part of our training. Next up in video 2, we are going to talk about getting literature circles started. So I'll see you in the next video.